We are the original Saturday Menudo Club, except no substitutes. No Más.
Leave it up here in this table. What we do is we set it out at each meeting and our guests come up, and if you're not here or you don't have a chance to send a representative, we always direct our people to this table. Again, it could be campaign information or it could be a business card, something that you would like to share with the club and with our guests.
Send this to me by scan. You do? I never said that to people.
Did everybody get a raffle ticket?
I'm behind you.
Everybody get a ticket for the raffle? If you did not, raise your hand, please, and we'll hand one out to you. If you haven't had a chance to order yet, they have some great menudo for those of you that want some spice in your morning. Overall, great menu, but I do recommend the menudo. Prepare yourself, it's a little spicy, just like our club.
That's why I'm not.
Okay, everybody can get, is everyone seated, situated, comfortable? Perfect. Well, welcome to the Saturday Menudo Club. We truly appreciate your attendance. We typically meet the first Saturday of every month. For those of you that have not attended before, the way our club typically is structured is we have several guests that come and join us. It could be people that are running for candidacy. It could be individuals that are just activists in their community. Or it could just be an everyday constituent that wants to come out and just get involved and hear what the current and current event issues could be. It could be local, state, and federal. We do have several sections that we go over. We open up with our pledges. We always like to say a prayer and give thanks. We are a Christian-based club, so we always like to give thanks. Also, what we do is we started something called Stir the Pot. For those of you that have ever cooked it could be menudo or it could be any type of soup. You notice you always have to throw those ingredients in, right? And you have to stir that pot to make it nice and delicious. So that's what we like to do here at the Saturday Menudo Club. We like to engage with our voters, our constituents, our community members. And we give about 5 to 7 minutes open mic, and we pass the mic around and we bring up a topic that y'all want to discuss. And we have some feedback, right? You might agree with it, you might not agree with it. Or you might just say, hey, this is a critique of feedback. So we welcome everything. We have an open platform here. We have some great guests today. We do have about 4 guests and our main speaker. So we're going to be courteous of everybody's time. I know the last 2 meetings we've gone over because the conversation's been so great. It's gone over about 30 minutes, 45 minutes. But you can always find our episodes and you can always find what happens on our calendar on our website at www.saturdaymenudoclub.com. And what you'll find there is a calendar event, and it includes everything that is upcoming from our club and from our sister clubs. We have several sister clubs that we work with, for instance, Latinos for America First with Bianca Gracia. She is doing amazing stuff for her community. She's actually up in, excuse me, I have a pulled muscle in my rib cage, so I run out of breath. So pardon my shortness of breath. She's up in DC right now. She's working on a special project. She'll be with President Trump tomorrow. But she's one of our sister clubs that we work with. We also work with Veterans for America First and several other clubs that have posted their events on our calendar. So please visit our website. It's full of information. It also has episodes that we've done in the past. We had Machine Gun Preacher here, all the way from Africa. And he told some amazing, amazing stories of how he got started, where God took him, and where he is now. So please visit it. Lots of information again. Also, we have episodes of people who have come in and just talked about organizations that they are working on. So if you want to get involved with any in particular episode, reach out to me and Andy. We have their information. We always keep our guest information for people who want to contact us and reach out to them. So I want to start off by a prayer. Can I have someone who would like to come up and say a prayer for us?
I'll do it.
Rick? Perfect, thank you.
Hey everyone. So I'm going to do a prayer. I think all of you pretty much know it. I just want to thank you for all of you being here today with us. So if we bow our heads. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. But lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you, that was wonderful. We do open up with our pledges, please. If I can have two volunteers. Two volunteers, please. I can only talk so much up here. Mark, would you like to lead us?
Sure. Go ahead.
Let's see, there's a flag.
I'd like to hold it. I'd like to hold it up.
Hold it up, Martha.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of
the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas flag. Could you? Okay, I think there's a flag right over there.
All right. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Woo!
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. You know, I always get that little hesitancy from doing the Texas pledge. I myself am guilty. I have to bring it up on my phone sometimes because I always want to say amen at the end of that. But
Why not?
why not, right? Amen.
You're in Texas.
So we have a great lineup, guys. We start off with the raffle. Again, if you don't have a ticket at this time, raise your hand and we'll get you one. Everybody have a ticket at this point? Great. We'll do that as the second one. But we got one up here right now. We'll take it up. You brought one, right? You brought two? Perfect. Okay. Mr. Huffines, if you could pull a ticket for me, please.
Okay.
That's the lucky number.
And it is 155. Last 3 digits.
Last 3 digits, 155.
But it's got Claudia's name on it.
Claudia? Woo! Come on up, Claudia. We got to give away.
Questions here.
Okay, guys, so again, what we like to do is we like to do a stir-a-pot statement, and that could be anything local, it could be anything state, or it could be anything federal that y'all might want to talk about. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, a controversial issue. It just could be something that's happening in your community that you might want to bring up. You know, something that's been on my mind, and I've heard a couple people talk about it, is the government shutdown. And, you know, how it's affected them locally, how it could affect nationally. So I can open it up if anybody wants to make a pro-con or just a comment on it, and we can pass the mic around. Or if you want to bring something else up. We have a gentleman back here.
I can do a pro on it, and right now they're looking at, the pro on it is what we've been seeing on the news, and that is where this is an ample opportunity for the executive branch to cut waste, fraud, and abuse across the board. And I thought that was a wonderful opportunity, and it's almost backfiring on the Democratic Party for pushing this to where it's at and not really realizing that, hey, you just gave the keys to the kingdom to the President of the United States. So I think that's I don't know if that was accidental, inadvertent, or perhaps they didn't look at it that far, but I think that when I read about that sometime last week, I thought, wow, you mean to tell me we can save tens of billions of dollars from the get-go? So that's a good pro on that.
Do I have a rebuttal or maybe another topic somebody wants to talk about? Remember, this is stir the pot. Anybody? Anyone? Anything? Got Martha back here?
So, it's not a rebuttal, but it's just kind of like, just a small thought about the fact how we live in a district which is, most of the voters are Democrat, right? And I'm telling you, it's like as an immigrant, and an illegal immigrant at that, when I was brought here from my mom, you see I was the dreamer, right, at the age of 7, I just can't understand how they see it in their face, and they still listen to the party of AOC, the party of Maxine Waters. They lie to them right in their face, and they can't get it. I mean, they're so blind, and I get it because they're enraged. They have hate in their hearts. They listen to all Univision and Telemundo has, and it really it's not that I have hate or rage against them, of course not, as a minister, right? As a Christian woman, as a woman that goes around these areas and talks to them about, Jesus, I look at them and I feel really sad for them because they're so blinded, And I keep telling them my story about how my mother, when she brought us here, she taught us that this was a land of milk and honey. And that this was a land that was going to prosper. And it was the only land. And we've seen it for years and years and years. And so the thought that I have is like, gosh, we really got to pray for these people. Because they are our brothers and sisters in Christ. They are, literally, they are. But we got to go ahead and pray for them and try to bring in some reasoning. And let me tell you, we cannot give up. We cannot. And we got to understand that they're human beings like us. And we need to get them to come to the light of God. We got to get them to come to reasoning. We got to get them to come to the hope, to the life. And that's the only answer here. And so I just want to encourage y'all not to give up on your Democrat sister and brother, because my husband never gave up on me. I married a Republican, and I thought Democrats were they were fighting for the poor, and my husband, he married me, and he prayed for me, and man, let me tell you, when Trump came down and said the truth, I was like, wait, oh, I am a Republican. I am a conservative. And let me tell you, the man that was praying for me, so do not give up. Do not give up.
Thank you, Martha. That's great. We have one. I'm coming to you, Claudia. But that reminds us, we have to send that message out of our grassroots conservative candidates, right? And listen to what the candidate is saying. Listen to what the incumbent is saying. Sometimes we get blinded because there's an R next to their name, right? But the messaging isn't there. For those of you that are just joining the club today, I worked as the RPT, the state party regional director here in Texas. I worked as the deputy director for elections for Harris County with the Republican Party. And I've seen my fair share of candidates come through that office that even though they carried that R, there was a big D stamped to their forehead. Or a big L, right, for liberal. And it did not align with what a conservative really is. I myself, right, the higher you went, sometimes in the structure of politics, you find that the R's and the D's become one giant letter. And it's a U for the Uniparty, right? So there should be a column, right? conservative Republicans, liberal Democrats, and the U for the Uniparty globalists. I think maybe we should make it mandatory. Okay, Claudia, you're coming up.
It's very short, I promise. So I think that this is the perfect opportunity by seeing this government shutdown to expose that these people are not for the people, they're for themselves. And this is the opportunity to show that they're not there for Hispanics, because they're always saying, you know, we're there for Hispanics, we're there. All they want is our votes. This clearly shows that they have no care for the people, no care for the Latino community, no care for the working class. So this is a perfect opportunity for the conservatives to go out there and expose them. They're saying, no, we're not paying, medical bills for the illegals. No, we know that those bills come laced with stipulations that do clearly pay. You know, the hospitals are paying for illegals. They're paying for transgender surgeries of minors. We know all that is happening, and this is the perfect opportunity to expose what's going on.
Thank you, Claudia. Thank you. Yes, information is key, right? And I had my co-host make a great point. Knowledge is power. We all know that. But what do you do with that power? It's applied power, applied knowledge. Okay, guys, so what y'all think about that? Stir the pot. Some good ingredients in that menudo, huh? Great. Okay, so we're going to continue and move on because we do need to keep very close. Main guest speaker, plenty of time to speak. We have our very loyal attendee to the Menudo Club, Mr. Rick Rivera, who's going to be speaking on a few items. Mr. Rick, let's give him a round of applause. And I'll let him introduce himself. Is that okay, Rick? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you for everyone being here today. I know we could be doing something else, but the fact that we came together, that's a blessing. I want to give a shout out to Andy and Carmen for allowing me to do this. That's awesome. And we're going to take this Menudo Club to the next level, I tell you that. And then also a big shout out to Bianca for what she did on the White House press floor with just that interaction. I saw it on Jesse Waters. I was like, let's go. But with that being said, my name is Rick Rivera. I am a political consultant and media advisor. I work on a handful of campaigns. I'm here to touch base on why it's important to be a political consultant and why a media advisor is essential. So I tend to go all over the place, so I just had some notes with me, and that's what's going to keep this thing going. In terms of the political consultant and media advisors, they're very important because together they work simultaneously. They sway the votes. They shape the direction of your campaign. That's so important. Consultants dig into the voter data, the precinct maps, craft strategies, that hit home and resonate with voters. Because you gotta know what's going on in your precinct or where you're running. Having a strategic plan, all the way down to a post-it note. I'm telling you, you gotta know everything, especially on that end. We're in the background. This isn't about fame, this is about getting the W. So you have to have a bear claw grip on everything. So that's very important. Media advisors, like I said, they shape the way of the campaign, but also it's more about the image. Media training, the look, the feel, speech writing, public relations, your press tour, the candidate's press tour, and now, which didn't exist, but now it's a big deal, the podcast circuit. That is so important, especially with younger voters, as we've seen with President Trump's campaign. If you want to start smart, I say target your phone list. It is expensive, but you get with the right company that has a track record, they can get you going with phone banking. Equally important. Also, demographics. Now, you just can't call everybody. You gotta know men, women, race, age, who's a registered voter, who's not a registered voter. I mean, these are essential because you can't go all nilly-willy out there. Awesome.
As fancy smashy.
There you go. In terms outside of demographics, it's also important to have on hand an EPK for your candidate. Now, let me break it down. It's very simple, especially if you're just starting out. We're talking about your headshot. We're talking about your bio, and most important, the layout of your platform. Now, if you want to do a cherry on top, then your campaign manager or your advisors or consultant will have a press release in that EPK. That is the opening statement to wherever you're going, whether it's a podcast, whether it's an interview, whether it's on TV, and it just says, hi, hello, take me, I'm good. And they usually only need to look at it for like 2 seconds, and then they'll make the choice. But you need that. That's the prereq or the prerequisite to doing that. And then also knowing the economics of your campaign. Oh man, I mean, I've talked to so many people in doing this, and it's important to know your numbers. It's important to know how much money this whole thing's gonna cost. Now, I don't mean for you to do a pro forma, because that's more for like an investment, because there's no money coming back, it's just all expenditures, but have a financial model in this journey. And then also know how much it's gonna cost the taxpayers. I mean, these are hard questions that they're gonna ask your candidate that you need to be able to answer without hesitation. And then also, fundraising is war. It's war. Without it, you're nothing. Meaning, you gotta call your heavy hitters, the people that have money, that are in your district, and ask them to write a check. I was in a meeting not too long ago, and we were with an amazing person, can't disclose that, but you know, we're sitting down there, you have a guy that travels the world, does all big business. You need to be able to say, I need your money, I need you to write a check. Because if you don't, you're just wasting their time. They could be golfing or somewhere else. So don't hesitate on that, because without fundraising, there's no money, there's no microphone, there's no ads, there's no rallies, there's no staff, and you're toast. You're done. And so also somebody that, just really quick, that I looked up to very much so, that has been an advocate in this game, is Susie Wiles. And she is a person that is just amazing. She doesn't do it for the fame, she does it for our country. And I remember when I was, just really quick, when I was, had the privilege to be at election night, she didn't even want to come on stage. This was like 3 in the morning, man. Trump is amazing. And he was trying to get her out, but she didn't want to come out, so somebody came out for her and thanked everybody. And I think she stood right behind him. But that is my, that is what I do, and I hope I encourage anyone out there that wants to be behind the scenes and get the W, but those are the preliminaries in terms of what you need to get the W for your team. Thank you. Oh, yes. So outside of politics, I have a passion project called Food Trucks and Music. We've done one event, got about 3,000 people. We're currently working on a second one. Just like campaign, there's a lot of moving pieces, but you can check us out on Instagram at Food Trucks and Music, all spelled out, and that's pretty much it. We don't put any marketing material until we have all the contracts signed, but that's just as anything. That's pretty good. So thank you again, and God bless all of you.
Thank you, Rick. Rick, he did do we call it our Zoomcast. And it is about a 30-minute episode we do once a week with anyone, a candidate or an activist or just a concerned citizen that wants to come on. Andy actually records it for us, and we put it out on our website. Just really quickly, were y'all aware that there is an election that's happening in November? So we do have an election. I just want to go over the dates really quickly. October the 6th, which was Monday, was the last, will be Monday, will be the last day to register to vote. October the 20th, first day of early voting. The 24th is the last day to apply for the ballot by mail. Halloween, October the 31st, the last day of early voting. Of course, November the 4th, which is a Tuesday, is election day. So if you don't know, if you have an election going on, because I know there's certain parts in Harris County that do and don't, go to harrisvotes.com and you can plug in your information, either your name or your address, and it will give you a sample ballot. And you'll have the information on there. If you don't see anything, don't panic. Probably won't be in that area, but if you are and you're not seeing anything, reach out to them at 713, I believe 718-1617, and that's to the administrator's office, and they can answer some more information for you. Really quickly, I want to talk about a directory that we have going. I think the form's in the back, Andy. And the directory, she's, for those of you that are interested after, she's holding up the forms in the back. So the directory basically is if you want to advertise your business on our website, the application's in the back. It's a $50 annual fee. It will have all of your information, your business information that you submit to us, and it will go on our website. Just really quickly before we move on to our next guest, who's familiar with Elsa? She's our virtual AI that Andy has created, and she gives you information. She's on our website as well.
She looks like Selena.
She also makes phone calls. If you call in and you don't get Andy or I, she does have responses, and they are all programmed by Andy. I will lay everything on him. So we had some complaints. We said, Elsa, well, is she dating anybody? Who is she? So, just really quickly, I thought this was really hilarious. Oh, where did he go?
It's behind the second page.
Oh, it's the second. Okay.
No, she's dating this guy.
Fabio. So we got Elsa and we got Fabio now, guys. So don't feel left out, women. If y'all want somebody to talk to, he is there to listen. Okay, moving right along. Andy, are you ready? Okay, so for those of you that don't know Andy, he is the brainchild behind the Menudo Club. This was his idea about 4.5 years ago. 3.5? So it started with an idea up here. And he shared it with us, and we went from like 2 guests at one small little location, and here we are. Thank you to El Tiempo, thank you to Mr. Art Lopez, and staff here. We have now grown, so we appreciate y'all. So I'm going to introduce I call him our main host, Andy Valdez. Give him a round of applause, folks.
Thank you. I'm just going to take a few minutes. So normally I'm behind the camera. Started my company, Marketing Dynamics, in 1999. Did corporate America. Before that, was in the Marine Corps. Before that, I grew up in College Station. I'm the first to graduate from A&M in our family, as a fellow ag here. But I read a book in 1999 called The Marketing of Evil by Dr. Capellian, and it wrecked my life. And so I had a lunch meeting with my lawyer friend recently, Mr. Manfred Sternberg. I said, I need you to sue this author. He goes, why? I said, because he wrecked my life. Once I read that book and I understood the agendas that were placed on America, in the book he cites, Dr. Capellian cites 10 agendas that came onto the scene. And these were PhDs, these were corporate media. Even at A&M, we were taught not to trust the media. I did go to UT for a year, by the way, prior to that. But the legend is I got smart and graduated from A&M. So with that being said, what I wanted to talk about today, well, in 1999, I made a promise to the Lord that I'd use my God-given talent in marketing for good, though it cost me everything. And it pretty much almost did. I did see the attack on America coming from the attack on our Second Amendment, our First Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the COVID lockdown, all that stuff we pushed back on. The Drag Queen Story Hour, all that stuff. And it was really, it was a team effort. Though it was few of us, a lot of times, we were mighty in Him. Right? And so when we started this Menudo Club, I basically thought of the Harley-Davidson Club. When it first got started, only 30 people showed up. But it was 30 of the right people. Right? And then it grew up to 100,000 and millions. Now you've got Harley-Davidson Club that's international. So it's not about the Menudo, it's really about the people. And oftentimes we met at places that didn't even serve Menudo. And not everybody likes Menudo. And what's interesting about the Menudo Club is when the Democrats call the Latinos tacos. And I'm like,
yummy.
What's wrong with tacos, man? I love tacos, man. Why are they doing that? They even call President Trump taco, right? And so with that being said, the Menudo is actually considered a poor man's soup. So we do have another sister club that's about to spin off called the Faux Club, the What the Faux Club, to attract the Asian community, right? Because you start bringing the people together, and in this room, we probably reach millions and millions of people because you are leaders in your circle. And all you do is get permission to your group to be an influence, right? So what I wanted to talk about today was artificial intelligence. Every industry now, whether it be in engineering, there's a law group called Houston.ai. The guy created the AI group because his brother committed suicide because he got caught up in the legal system and didn't have a way out. He says, you know what, there's got to be a better way. And so this AI, what it does is it files motions, it does it automatically, and that's why he started it. Then you have the software industry has its AI software, but marketing is marketing. Always be selling, always be marketing. So you did an excellent presentation on what it takes to get your message out, right? So with marketing AI, it's like, you know what, I was born for this. Because in the last 25 years, had an opportunity to do all the stuff you're talking about. Events, Machine Gun Preacher, I mean, you went to the launch, and here we had him here, a couple of last month, right? And you were there when the movie was launching and everything, right? So Machine Gun Preacher didn't call himself Machine Gun Preacher, the media did. They did it as a pejorative, like, who does he think he is? Machine Gun Preacher? Yeah, he had to carry an AK-47 in a war zone to protect the orphans, and the enemy was more afraid of him than he was of them, and he was a Christian, right? How dare you carry an AK-47? Don't you trust God? Well, yeah, because he gave me an AK-47 that I can fight back with, hello? So when the AI world started to really evolve itself here in the last, I mean, it's been around since Nikola Tesla even talked about it, but in the last 10 years or so, the next guest I'm going to introduce, I mean, the stuff that we're seeing today, he was talking about 25 years ago. I decided to drop what I was doing and start investing in the training. So I've been taking some training with Billy Jean Marketing out of San Diego. He made his millions on Facebook, but he's like, you guys need to really study this AI stuff, because when the future comes, people are going to be coming to you saying, hey, teach me how to AI. So the Fabio thing, these characters we created, we get to create, we get to animate them, we get to create their voices, we get to automate the processes. We talked about having AI assistants. So I have Jessica. She answers my phone calls for me, never misses a call. She never gets upset. I had buddies of mine cuss her out. I go, you cussed out a robot? You know she's a robot. Why didn't you cuss? I said, that's not a problem with her. It's a problem with you. So it really, it unveils like our personalities, right? And stuff. And she records every single phone call. So all this to say is AI is here. The basic premise is embrace it, or you be replaced by it, right? So learn it, because the thing is that what it does, it magnifies your abilities, if you will. And so what we're seeing is that you're going to see what's called a chief executive human, and a virtual assistant or an AI assistant can scale a company to $1 billion. Now they're waiting for a company to go to $1 trillion, right? So it's your intellectual property is still valuable. It's still AI. It's still dumb. It's what you know. It's your level of mastery being magnified. So that's all I'm going to say about AI. Then I'm going to get
your website?
Oh, my website is, let me do this one. So the Lord had me call myself here lately the Marine Marketer, and that domain was taken for years, and then a couple of months ago I looked it up, it wasn't taken.
Oh, wow.
So the bottom line is, you don't have to be a Marine to be a business, but you need to think like one, you need to target like one, right? And who do you want fighting for your vision than a Marine, right? It's battle tested, right? So it's themarinemarketer.com. That'll get you to some other websites, or themarinemarketer.com. And so thank you for listening.
Your book.
Oh, I do have a book out called, it's coming out. The book is marinemarketerbook.com, but it's called Marine Marketer on Mission, How to Win Battles in the Marketplace of Ideas. At A&M, for example, they did teach on the Few the Proud. That's one of the most successful ad campaigns ever written. The Marines don't promise you anything but the opportunity to become one. And their mission is very crystal clear: we win battles. They don't get involved in wars. They're very strategic, but when they show up in force. Their own mighty contagion, like a conglomerate. He's like, get out of our way, we're coming through, right? So that's the legend of the Marine Corps. But it's really just how you learn a strategy and tactics to push back on these narratives that you hear what the enemy says. Well, how can I twist it to our favor? Like when they call us tacos, or when the Stepford wives were going against the Mountains of Man Action, we're going against our gun rights. We call them the Stepford wives. I was like, you know what? Our wives don't demand action; they actually take action. My wife doesn't want me to be out there. She's not going to be out there protesting against our rights. So we have fun with it. So I get to introduce the next speaker. That's going to be Mr. Wally Wood. He's been a mentor of mine for 25 years or so. We met at a radio event, Biz Radio here in Houston, years ago, and I guess we got each other's attention. And come to find out, the more I find out about Wally, he's like a pomegranate. I used to say like a layered onion, many layers. No, a pomegranate. There's so much wisdom that he's accumulated in his life's mission. When he was 8 years old, he was given a mission. I'll let him talk about that. But here he is at 75, still on mission, and the stuff again he's been talking about 25 years ago is actually happening now. Mr. Wally Wood.
Well, this is neither my show nor my spotlight, so I'm not going to take very long. I'm scheduled to be your next speaker next month, and that takes some bravery because of what I do and where I've been. I was 8 years old. I asked the Lord to teach me about the Antichrist, and caused me to understand how it would be that the world would one day worship a man as a god. That's kind of bold for an 8-year-old. 10 years later, graduating from high school, I said, Lord, I want to dedicate the rest of my life to the research, reading, writing, reporting on the advancements in the world toward this administration of the Antichrist. The Lord allowed me to write my first book in 1975 called Cashless Society, A World Without Money. 1975. I talked about how there would come one day a central computer that would oversee all of your financial transactions. That was 15 years before the internet. I called it CENTCOM in the book for central computer. I talked about how, well, you see the front cover. I've got 2 humanoids that didn't exist at the time, 1975, and a plastic card with a black stripe. There were no debit cards in the early 70s. And I drew this looking toward the future where cash would be done away with. This was a prophetic vision drawing of a debit card. Also in this less than 50 pages, I talk about how the day would come when people would use their Dick Tracy watches to buy groceries. Where are we today? 30 years later, smartwatches. This book, less than 50 pages, went worldwide, was transferred into 15 different languages. The largest daily newspaper in South Africa printed the entire book over a 2-week period, from what people told me who lived down there. In 2000, I came out with my second book, The Embedded Internet, The Final Evolution. And here I talk about how the day would come when the internet would be attached to everything you touch and everything that touches you. That was nearly 20 years before the Internet of Things came out. So the Lord has always had me on the cutting edge, the tip of the iceberg of what's happening. Now, what I plan on doing when I'm up here with you next month, I promise you, I will show you some things you've never seen before and disclose to you things that are happening that you have no idea of. You've heard of the New World Order, the one world government, conspiracy theory. I've spent 50 years debunking the theory portion of that term. And I've got a library of over 300 books written by the pundits, the prophets, the apostles, the architects of this new world. And I'll just show you one prop, because this already exists. The Emerging Constitution, written by one of President Roosevelt's chief advisors, Rexford Guy Tugwell, came out in 1974. The Emerging Constitution. In the back of this book, he puts the entire new Constitution in its article and section form to the new states of America, not the United States. This is an emergency constitution designed and intended to go into immediate effect upon the declaration of national emergency with martial law. It will not require congressional approval nor ratification of the states. If Y2K had become a real thing, it was intended to go into immediate effect the next day by executive order. This is a new state's constitution. I will show you how close we are to the new world, one world. I've spent 50 years gathering this information and talking about it. That's part of what Andy was talking about. And I'll have a presentation to show you on the screen, to show you these new documents. So I invite you to come. It's not intended to discourage you. It's intended to point you in one direction. Is coming. Jesus said in Matthew 24, the generation that sees these things will not pass away until everything had been fulfilled, which included his return. And we are seeing these things happening for the first time in human history, like never before. So come join us next month. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We had a meeting dedicated to this topic. For those of you that have not seen the latest episode that we uploaded, Andy, it's on our website, correct? Colonel Kaifish did a great presentation. There's a drop-down screen here. He brought a projector, and there was a PowerPoint that was not only informational, but very accurate and very relatable to what is occurring right now with current events, right? With our DEI issues, with the crime, with politics in general, and not just locally, but globally. Colonel Kaifish, if I can have you just briefly just talk about your Substack. He's a writer. Colonel Kaifish was our speaker last month.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I never wanted to be a writer. I never wanted to do what I'm doing right now, but sometimes you get put in places where you have to.
Amen.
I'll make it real quick. After retiring from the Marine Corps, 28 years, 7 tours in the Middle East after 9/11, only to learn it was an inside attack. I worked for a military academy as a commandant, like a principal. And it was during COVID. And when the school district gave everybody in the district a day off, so they get their 5 to 11-year-olds vaccinated and boosted, I knew better at the time because I'd been talking with Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Robert Malone, Dr. Mary Kelly Bowden. I said, please do not do this until you talk to your doctor about the government data that you can find on a website called Open Bears. It's government data. I got a call within 5-10 minutes from headquarters downtown saying, did you just send this email? I said, I certainly did. Well, you are suspended immediately. That goes against our policies. You're not supposed to do this. I said, well, actually, it's called informed consent. You got to provide any risks with any benefit of any drug or vaccine, especially one that's experimental. They didn't care to hear that. I was fired immediately. I thought it was politics as normal. Yeah, I've been associated, but I said, this is something much more significant. You know, I'm only getting close to you, but I had to start doing research and trying to figure out what the hell was going on. And what I learned was very disturbing, and I had it confirmed from experts and brilliant people, to include Mr. Wally Wood. And I said, I got to get this information out, so I started writing. Again, I never wanted to write, it was never my intention, but I said this is too important. So I have a Substack, it's called Larry K. Fish, Substack.com. Truth and transparency, the fuel for a civilized society is essential, especially in a world of lies. So if you get a chance, take a look at it. I just wrote a piece on it, on what happened in Quantico. I spent a lot of time in Quantico, it's my second home. With what happened with the presentation, I'm pretty harsh, I'm pretty critical. I'd love to be proven wrong because what I share is not pleasant, but I haven't been proven wrong yet. But if you get a chance, take a look at it, send me questions, any comments, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Colonel. And he was our speaker last month at our club, and he also did a Zoomcast, very informative, very detailed. So if you get a chance, go on our website, you'll find the video. There's a link to it. We got a 2-minute with Dakota back here, and then we are going to our main speaker.
Thank you, Carmen. Hey, how's everyone doing today?
Great.
Hoorah!
How's everyone doing?
Hoorah!
Yeah, there we go. Let's give it up for Carmen and Andy, two of my favorite Uncle Sam's misguided children. Best out there. And awesome guy was putting on this every single month. And it's just really impressive, and it speaks volumes about both of you. Real quick, I'm Dakota Moyers. I am the operations director for Veterans for America First. I'm also co-owner of Project Defiant, and through both of those organizations, we are putting on an event this month, the 18th of October, for our Freedom Fest. Many of you know it, but for those of you who don't, want you all come on down to Cottonwood off of North Durham and I-10 North, and it's just going to be a bang-up, fun time that we all just, what's the best word for it? Throw down? Yeah. Come down there, have great drinks, have great food, discuss patriotism, and even have our own open mic portion where you yourselves can come up and take the stage and actually talk about the issues that matter most to you. Much like Stir the Pot here, we're going to have it there, and it's going to just be a more no-holds-barred type situation where you can just go up there, talk about anything you want in front of legislators, in front of people campaigning, in front and actually get in their faces and make your voices heard. Thank you all very much. You all have a great day.
Thank you, Dakota. Okay.
Justice JP, I donated one, Martha Fierro, with Texas Rotunda, and she spoke of nonprofit organizations. But John Jack Gazelle donated the second one, and he's not here because he's doing his wedding anniversary, so he's celebrating so with his beautiful bride. And he donated the other one. He's running for Justice of the Peace, place 2. And so you guys, you know, he's a wonderful, wonderful man of God.
Thank you.
Amen.
Okay, guys, so we are moving on to our guest speaker. As you can tell, he does have his drop sign up here, Mr. Huffines. He is, and I'm going to read a quick, we did a press release for him that went out to the media. So just a quick introduction. Mr. Huffines is a 5th generation Texas entrepreneur and former lawmaker. He is widely recognized for his staunch commitment to physical restraint and government accountability. While serving in the Texas Senate, he helped uncover the largest government corruption scandal in state history, leading to multiple convictions and the elimination of a wasteful agency. His campaign for Texas Comptroller centers on cutting waste, increasing efficiency, and channeling savings into proper tax relief. Let's give him a round of applause, guys. Busy candidate, so we appreciate him joining us today. Mr. Huffines, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for coming out today, giving up something you're never going to get back, of course, your time. I really appreciate being in the Menudo Club. This is a real honor. Well, first, I'm going to give you a little more bio, then I'm going to tell you about the Comptroller's position and how important that really is and underappreciated. I'm a 5th generation Texan. I was born in Dallas, Texas. I did go to A&M 1 year, Andy, and I went to UT. So the opposite of what Andy.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, cool.
My dad was a big Aggie. Yeah, that was the first song I ever learned was Aggie War. But so I felt pressure. I got a finance degree at UT. Best thing that happened to me was 38 years ago, and I married my beautiful, perfect wife, Mary Catherine. We usually travel together. She's at a religious conference in Pittsburgh this weekend, so she can't be with me. We have 5 grown children, all married, 4 sons, 1 daughter. We homeschool them throughout their schooling career to make sure that. Thank you. They could grow up in a conservative Christian environment. They did, and they're successful. I have 4 Longhorns and 1 Horned Frog out of them. They're all married. I have 12 grandchildren, 10 on the ground, and 2 aren't here yet in 6 years. So it's a new chapter in our lives. I'm putting the over and under at 20. I'm taking the over. So we're doing our share for the economy, I'll tell you that.
There you go.
There's nothing better than family. There's nothing. My foundation is Jesus, family and business in that order. Let me just tell you my political background. I've been to probably a dozen state conventions. I lost count. I've been to the last 5 national conventions. I've always had a flame of liberty burning in my heart. I went to my first county convention when I was 18, about 2 weeks. I was able to vote in that primary election for Reagan for president. I decided to run for office for the Texas Senate, first office I ever ran for, after my children got older and I was tired of our elected office holders ignoring party platform. In that race, I was the first Republican to ever defeat in the Texas Senate incumbent in the primary without a runoff. So I know how to run it as an underdog and I know how to win. There's a few things I got done in Austin I'll tell you briefly about. As she mentioned, that I'm the only, as Carmen mentioned, that according to Secretary of the Senate, I'm the only elected office holder in the history of the state of Texas, certainly modern history, that never took any money from the government. No pay, no pension, no per diem, no reimbursements, no travel vouchers, no nothing. I even used my own office furniture. Theirs was really ugly anyway.
All green.
Yeah, well, it was one from the 80s. I said, really? But anyway, so I bought my own stuff. I didn't even use their parking place. But I tell you that because I'm going to do the same as your comptroller. I'm never going to take a salary, pay, pension, no per diem, no health care, no nothing. When the lobby came in, I always paid my way for wherever we went. And I was always ranked one of the top 3 most conservative state senators by the scorecards when I was there. They were number 1, 2, and 3. But let's just talk a minute about the comptroller's position. Now, this is a very underappreciated, like I just said, position. It's the chief financial officer for the state of Texas. Everything to do with money goes through the comptroller's office. Now, I don't know about you, but let me just ask you a few questions. Are you ready to root out fraud, waste, and abuse in Austin, Texas? Are you ready to put some people in prison in Austin, Texas? Yeah. Are you ready to doge Austin, Texas, like Trump did? Well, I am. I'm ready to follow Donald Trump's footsteps and doge Austin. And it really needs it. It really does. I mean, how much do y'all think we spend in the state of Texas every single day, 7 days a week? They want to get over $500 million. That's what Texas spends every day, 7 days a week. That translates to $350,000 every minute of every day. Texas is massive. We're the 8th largest economy in the world. If we're our own country, we're bigger than Canada. The Canadian economy, all of that money flows through the comptroller's office. I have eyes and ears on every bit of it. I'm not as comptroller, let me just tell you that, and then I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. Okay, the comptroller also collects all the revenue for the state, all the taxes. Some of you guys in business probably have dealt with the office before. The comptroller is in charge of course, the sales tax, hotel, motel tax, liquor tax, and all the revenues, over 100 of them. Also, the comptroller is the procurement manager for all the state agencies. There's over 200 state agencies. In other words, the comptroller acts as the purchasing manager for all the state agencies. That includes all the universities. 1,200 political subdivisions use the comptroller's office. Is also the procurement manager. Think about this. The comptroller's in charge of keeping up with everything the state owns, of course. Can you imagine that? We have our own airplanes. We got all our own vehicles. I'd be in charge of over 140,000 credit cards, 11 payroll systems that don't talk to each other. and it just goes on and on. It's a massive undertaking. One thing that the comptroller now is personally tasked with, it's new, is our school choice program. Every rule and regulation of the school choice program is up to the comptroller. All rules, everything. The wait list, the curriculum, who can be in the program, who's going to manage the programs. $1 billion programs, 100,000 ESA accounts, education savings accounts. Where you are on that issue is immaterial to you wanting me to win. I'm a champion for competition in the free market. I'm a business guy. It lowers the price and increases the quality of everything it touches, and it's going to certainly do that to our government school systems. I actually wrote an education savings account bill when I was in the Texas Senate, and I think it's the best solution we have to make our government schools better. But even if you don't believe in ESA, you should make sure that I'm in that seat, because I am a champion to get the government out of the way and make sure we have a school choice program with no strings attached, as it's written in our party platform.
Yes.
Thank you. Now I'm also in charge of, guess what? Gold and silver, transactional gold and silver exchange.
Wow.
That's a new bill. We have our own gold and silver depository in the state of Texas. But we got a new piece of legislation that was done this year, and it's not a shall, it's a may. So the comptroller may institute a gold and silver exchange, just like the Glint credit card. You put your gold and silver or precious metals, platinum, palladium accounts in the state depository, and then you can charge on your card for any purchases in the state off of that account. This is very important. It's historical. 5 states have done it. Texas is the only state with bullion depository. Let me tell you, we've got to have competition for our currency. Our fiat currency It's worthless, it's basically being debased every day. This gives you an opportunity, an average American, an opportunity to have an option, and again, it's going to make the U.S. currency better. So that is now, I'm a champion of that. I've been a champion of sound money since I was in college, and that's very important that we institute that program, and yet my competition are in this race, they are not interested in that. Well, the Comptroller affects everyone in here a lot more than we realize. His tentacles reach everywhere. My position as Comptroller is to change the narrative of what it really does. Not only to educate you, but right now it's generally focused on collecting revenue. It has its own law enforcement division. It has its own attorney. We have our own law firm. I've got about 80 attorneys in-house. It's got 550 auditors, and it just goes on and on. It's 3,000 employees, 3,000 and also 19 offices across the state, even some out of state. I'm going to change the narrative, like I started to say, because I want to change it to making sure it protects you, the taxpayer. This is your money, not the government's money. And no one in Austin understands that. They don't ever talk about that. They just talk about spending more money, and collecting everything they can from the taxpayer. Well, I'm not focused on the revenue side as your comptroller. I'm going to be focused on the spending side. I feel like the Constitution of the state of Texas, the old Cowboys had it right, is to make sure that I have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure any government that's using state money is using it properly. Well, let me just tell you how important that is. As Carmen mentioned, when I was in the Texas Senate, there was an organization in Dallas County had a countywide property tax, and it was on my property tax bill. And I just, on my own initiative, just said, well, what is these people? Who are they? What do they do? And so I dug into it, and I couldn't answer the question. It was a small tax, but the more I dug into it, I realized that this group was probably not on the up and up. It was a 100-year-old organization called Dallas County Schools. They had a countywide board. They had way over $100 million annual budget. They had about 3,000 employees, and they provided transportation to some students in the ISD, and they had their own software system. They had their own police force. They had all this stuff going on. And they mainly were flashing people to stop on school buses and giving tickets. It's a long story. Bottom line, they never could answer my financial questions. We had hearings in Austin on it. I got the Texas Rangers involved. The Dallas DA got involved. The FBI came in and took the files. And 6 people pleaded guilty. They weren't stealing a little bit of money. I mean, $10,000 or $100,000. They weren't stealing $100,000. They were stealing millions of dollars from Dallas County taxpayers. 6 of them went to prison, including the mayor pro tem of the city council of Dallas for taking bribes. He got 7 years. The only help I had on that, guys, was with investigative reporters in NBC5 in Dallas. I'd go in and give them the information. They could go on the air and report it, and they had the bandwidth to go to New Orleans and find the condos and the Porsches and go to Chicago where all the crooks were. A lot of people should have gone to jail. You don't hear about it because they all pleaded out. FBI said they didn't have time to take anybody to trial. I got a bill done in Austin to close them down. They don't exist. It was very difficult. And I say this because you really need to understand how bad government can get. When we closed, they had office buildings, they had bus barns, they had thousands of buses. They scratched the VIN numbers off the buses so we couldn't figure out who had the lien on them. They put pornography on all the computers so we couldn't get to the software. We finally found out they spent $1.3 million on stolen taxpayer money to hire lobbyists to defeat my audits and defeat my legislation. That's why we need to get rid of taxpayer-funded lobbyists, to say the least. Well, I was dodging before dodging was cool. That's for sure. My campaign is to Doge Texas. That group spent in a year, what the state of Texas spends in about 9-10 hours. And I just asked you a simple question. Do you think we have sticky fingers in our cookie jar in Austin, Texas? I'm going to find out. Because I know one thing. If you don't look, it's hard to find something. That's just a fact. You got to be looking for it if you want to find it. So Dogen is real. Let me give you quick examples on Dogen. It's not just about looking at the revenue and the expenses. I did that with that group. They always figured that out. It's also about looking at the processes. It's also looking at the original intentions on it of what the legislature set up. And like, I can just go over a lot of different ideas on all the agencies we have. Are they being run correctly? Are they being run properly? And can we run them better, more efficiently? Well, let me just tell you about the campaign, then I want to do some, a whole lot more stuff I can tell you. But I want to ask you this, some more simple questions, and you can ask me Q&A about what I'm going to get done in Doge. What I'm going to do first is my own office, of course, and I will have day one. I just love Trump. I mean, I just think he's the greatest. He showed us the swamp, and now he's draining it. And it's just amazing. I want to emulate him on day one. Executive orders, EOs, you know. I'm gonna have that. It's gonna be so much fun.
No
anyway, why is our struggle so hard? As liberty lovers, why is it so hard? You know, we win a battle and we beat the leftists and the communists, and look, all socialists are communists, and they're all going down this slope to the pits of hell. It's terrible. And that's just a fact. And I mean the pits of hell, and a lot of Republicans we're just going to do it. Unfortunately, we got a uniparty, and I can talk all about that. I can tell you what happens in Austin, Texas. They want to get there tomorrow. We're just going to get there next week. But we're going to stop all that. But why is it? And it's because evil is real. Our battle is against good versus evil. Yeah. And of course, Satan never sleeps. He doesn't. He's going to keep coming all the time. The Democrats are working overtime right now in Dallas County. Trump barely got 37% of the vote. Last time he got 33. We're doing a little better. We don't have Republicans in Dallas County. Just aren't. No judges, no JPs, no nothing. I mean, not even close. I mean, it's not even. I mean, the white flags have gone up in Dallas since 2018 in Dallas County. And don't think of Texas as being that safe red, because it's really not. It's better than it was now that we have different groups that are lined up as demographically. Let me just say, me and my wife, we have a real fondness for Tejanos and the Hispanic community. In 1999, I was a homeschool family. We tied the mattress. I'll just tell you a quick story. I don't normally tell this story all the time. But we tied our mattresses to the top of the minivan. I had 5 children. And we loaded everybody up. And I said, we're going to Mexico, and I'm putting you in a Mexican school. And so I drove all over Mexico, and multiple times. I drove from Veracruz to Manzanilla, and we picked a town we were going to live in, and I had to make sure there were hardly any gringos there in the school, so I wanted to learn Spanish, right? And that was the whole idea, learn the culture. We stayed down there a whole school year in the town we picked, and we made sure it was a good Catholic school. I also put them in the public school, too. The morning was Catholic, afternoon was public. And so I have a real affinity for Mexico and the Hispanic culture. I've driven from Dallas to Mexico City several times. But Mexico's a failed state. It is. It's sad with the cartels and what they did. And I can talk about it more, but Claudia Sheinbaum is a communist. And I want everyone to understand that. I don't normally talk about it. It's totally true. She went to Berkeley, her husband went to Berkeley, they were communist organizers at the university, and if you really research Claudia Sheinbaum, you understand that her husband was caught with a trash sack full of $100 bills, right? Multiple times, and they got divorced over that so she could run for office. It's more than you want to know, but Mexico is not our friend. Yes. They are not. The Mexican government is not our friend. Yes. And that's just a fact. They were in cahoots with the Biden administration to destroy the United States of America. There's no doubt about that. But let me just tell you about the campaign now before I start preaching, going on talking. I can talk about that forever. I can, because look, you were talking about vaccine. Of course, I've been endorsed by Peter McCullough and Dr. Bowden. I'm the one that led a lot of the protests against for vaccine freedom. I've been a champion of that for a long time, way before the COVID started. And if you're talking about end times, you've got to be really worried about digital currency, you know, and that what's coming with that. That's inevitable. It's just a matter of what path it really takes. But the campaign's going great. This is what I've been endorsed by every conservative organization in the state of Texas. Not one conservative organization has endorsed my two opponents. My battle is in the primary. The election is March the 3rd. Everybody's going to start voting the end of February. Of course, everybody votes early. So this train's on the track and it's moving really fast. And I need every person to help they can. Let me just give you an idea, a sample of the endorsements, because I've got so many. I've got them on the sheet. You know, I'm going to fall asleep if I read them all. But you know, this is the highlights. Some of the highlights is Ted Cruz came out early for me. Senator Cruz and his daddy endorsed me. Rafael Cruz, Vivek Ramaswamy, because he created Doge. Ron Paul, who I've been is my political mentor for 30 years. Riley Gaines on the culture issues, and of course, dear Charlie Kirk was a friend of mine. But he endorsed the campaign because Charlie knew how important this position is. He knew that the halo effect of what I'm going to do will ripple across the nation. And that's just a fact. And let's see, we've got great groups down here: Texas Right to Life, Moms for America, Texas Family Project, Texas Homeschool Coalition, Texas Eagle Forum, great bunch of ladies there. American Jewish Conservatives, Grassroots of America, Joanne Fleming's group, American Principles, and I could just go on all the gun groups. But one that I'm very proud of, because it's very hard to do, is 75% of the SREC, State Republican Executive Committee. You get two, you know, if y'all been to the convention. National Committee man, National Committee woman, former Vice Chairman of the National Party, RNC, Tommy Hicks has endorsed the campaign. I got Kerry Lake, I got Matt Gaetz. I got a lot of people in Washington that are for me, wanting me to win. I am the MAGA candidate. I've worked for the president, and every election he's had, I've endorsed him, raised money for him, I've bundled money for him, donated money for him, and anyway, we're going to win this race. I'm up in the polls, but I need your help. And what you can do is a bottom-up campaign, not top-down. I need you to have the initiative to do what you think you can do. And what might make a difference? Take my push cards to whatever meeting you're going to. You don't have to be instructed to do it. Do it on your own. If you want to hang a bed sheet off an overpass and say, "Oh, for Huffines," get out there and flap it out there off the bed. It's just fine. Just do it. Do what you got, because I trust you. I trust millions of people to make the best decision that's going to benefit your life. Do not ever depend on the government, and I tell you this, as a true patriot always questions government. You don't just have the authority to question government, you've got an obligation to question government. And our liberties, just remember folks, our liberties come from God. They don't come from the government. The government doesn't give us our liberties and our freedom. God did. And our founders of our country knew that. That's why they wrote the Constitution. One of the main reasons was to protect you from the most dangerous threat you have to your God-given liberties was the very government they were creating. That's why we don't live in a democracy, of course, because tyranny of the majority is still tyranny. Folks, our greatest days are coming. This is Texas. We will bend the knee to no man, to no government, for any reason except Jesus. This is Texas. We will lead the world. We will not look to Washington for anything, for any reason. Washington needs to look to us.
Amen.
If we lose Texas, we don't lose just the USA. We lose the free world as we know it. God bless you, and God bless Texas.
Any like to ask a question, make a comment? I want to say I'm excited.
Yay! Just let me know. I mean, I'm always here for suggestions. When I was a state senator, I had an open house every other week. Anybody could come and talk to me anytime. I have town hall meetings. I'm going to do the same as Comptroller. Now, it might get a little crowded, because Texas is quite big. So I'm going to figure that process out. But I want to hear from you. The main thing you need to take away is that I'm for a Texas taxpayer. I'm for you. And this is your money, and it doesn't belong to the government. So I have an open door. I want you to call me. Same cell phone I've had since they had them. And I remember when we didn't have them.
Let's give them a round of applause over here. Martha, and then we'll go to Colonel.
So I am the director of prayer and worship, and we are about 500 pastors and ministers, mostly Hispanic, and we go once a month to go and pray at the Capitol. We were very imperative in the movement of school choice, and so I want to know, what are your plans with school choice? Because right now what you spoke, and I thank you for that, made us aware that the Comptroller's office is in charge of that. Now there was a lot of things that they didn't tell us when they pushed the school choice bill, and afterwards, you know, it came out. For example, one of the things was that, you know, children that were in private school were going to be able to get, I think, around $10,000 for private school, but it was not told that if you're already in a private school, you are not able to get that $10,000. So things like that were not told to us before we pushed this bill, right? It was told after it passed. So I want to make sure that as you take place and position, that you are aware that, hey, this is what's going to happen. That it's not something that we're pushing along this bill and all of a sudden it comes out, it's signed by the governor, and then it's like, oh, oops, you're not eligible for that.
Yeah, okay, let me address that, the details in the school choice program. I have to operate within the guardrails of the legislation, of course, and I'm not in a legislative position, but I have the power of the purse. And that is, as we all know, that matters, right? I mean, really, of course it does. But this particular program, I am in charge of the rules and regulations of it. If it's in there in the legislation to that effect, look, it's not perfect. The bill was not perfect. This was the first, we had to get this bill, they had to get this bill done, and they got it done the best way they could. It doesn't mean we can't change it. So, we'll look at the bill, I'll look at the legislation, I will use the bully pulpit in my position. I want you to understand that the Comptroller doesn't report to the governor. The Comptroller does not report to the state legislature. I report to you. Our founders of our state wrote the state constitution. Those old cowboys had it figured out. Not only do we meet every other year, thank the Lord, but they didn't want anybody in the legislature handling our money. So I can go out there and beat on the legislature, work with them, and I will work with them on doing what's best for you, the Texas taxpayer, what's best for the school choice program, and it's going to make a huge difference.
Would you be willing to have a group of parent leaders that have been very much involved in this, from all different, from all different, Hispanics, Asians, because we, underneath my nonprofit, we gather a huge group of people to go in there, and for them to find out later, hey, this is happening, and so would you be willing, when you take position, okay, to sit down with us and talk about this so we can tell you because I know this bill is going to be implemented next school year already. It already has, but the money's going to go out next school year. Would you be willing to sit down with us?
Of course. Let me win the election. I need to win.
I know you are.
There's no reason to talk to me about it. That's why I need you guys to work hard.
I know you are.
If you want a voice, your voice to be heard, y'all need to work hard.
And I'm gonna push you out.
Yay!
Just like you said, yes I am, but I know you are, but I'm asking if you're already willing to sit down with us. Thank you so much, sir.
We got Colonel Piefish with the question, and then we'll finish up with Mr. Johnny in the back.
First, sir, thank you so much for being here. A very impressive story. And I really love what you did with your children, moving to Mexico. That's awesome. I think we all love the Doge concept. When Musk came out, of course, it was very exciting, right? I think it started like $2 trillion we were going to save, then it went to $1 trillion, and then it kind of dribbled down. I think at the end of the day it was 160 to 200 something. I'd have to double check. But unfortunately, because all the cuts were all based on executive order and not by legislation, none of them are going to stick. USA still exists. And right now, according to the last records, we're spending more this year than Biden's last year. We were supposed to make all these cuts. So it's very concerning. I love DOGE. I think we all love the concept, but it didn't seem to pan out the way it was supposed to. How can you make sure it will pan out the way it's supposed to here in Texas?
Well, it's a very good question. Can it really, does DOGE really work? Can we make a difference? And I'll tell you this, if you don't try, nothing's gonna happen. That's just a fact. And my goal is to make something happen. You know, I say this often, and I'll say it again. You know, no one likes cleaning out the garage, and it's difficult to postpone it all the time. But I sure like pulling in when it's done, and that's like what I'm going to do in Austin. Look, there's a lot of people that do not want me to win. They don't want to be looked at. There's no one really paying attention. I don't think it's going to be a very hard job, really, to find out how much difference DOGE is really going to make. Because Texas is so big, and no one's ever tried to clean out the garage. I can't tell you for sure it's going to be successful. I can't tell you that I'm going to be able to terminate 20,000 FTEs. I don't think that's the case. But I can certainly educate people on where their money's going, how we're spending it, and ask the questions. And I'll give you a quick sample of that. My research at the Huffines Liberty Foundation, I've done white papers on that. Y'all can get on the email, my websites and all that. You really need to see a lot of the research that we've done, that I've done personally and I've written. Is about, we think it's about $8 to $10 billion a year that Texas taxpayers are spending on illegals in our government schools. I encourage everybody to say government schools and not public schools, trying to change the narrative like the left does, and we just follow along with them. This is our language, government schools. The government trains the teachers, the government makes the kids go to school, the government picks the curriculum. I mean, this is a government school program. And if you really think about it, it would have made the Marxists so happy, and it did, you know, the whole system. But anyway, that's another topic. Another topic. But we're going to, anyway, here, why I have all these endorsements. I had to meet with these boards, and all these groups have a lot of different people to make the calls. They know my competition. Why did Charlie Kirk endorse me or anybody else? It's because they can trust me. They know they can trust me to make a difference. I don't know if our swamp's deeper than Washington. I know it's more vindictive in Austin than it is in Washington. I've got firsthand experience and all that. But I know in Washington that the swamp is pushed back so hard. And there's so many rules, you know, against Trump. If Trump had his brothers, those people would be on the, you know, he would have dodged the heck out of it, and Elon would have saved $1 trillion. I'm in contact with Elon's team. We'll be plugging all their AI into the system, and we'll be figuring out where our money's going to answer the question. So, real quick, I forgot to say, on the school issue, we're spending $8 billion educating illegals in our school system in Texas. They're not spending that in Connecticut or Maine or any other state. We've been spending that because of a court case in 1982, a SCOTUS case, very controversial, 5-4. I want to relitigate that case. I can't do that, but the AG's help, I will. But I'm going to be asking every ISD, all 1,200 of them, to do an accounting of how many kids in their school are legal and are not. So we can at least have the information. That's all I want is the information. I'm not saying they don't have to be educated. I'm saying that the Texas taxpayer needs to know, so I can take that invoice and go to Washington, D.C. and hopefully get reimbursed.
Johnny, we're wrapping up with you.
Hello, Mr. Huffines. First of all, thank you for being here. Big part of leadership is being present. You're exhibiting that now. I was a non-commissioned officer in the United States Army. I was a paratrooper. I was deployed to combat to Iraq for 15 months. Afghanistan for 12 months. Our nation had us fighting unconstitutional wars, chasing ghosts for 20 years, something to the tune of $3 trillion, over 7,000 American lives, hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of third local national lives. Those are human beings too, y'all. And my question to you, sir, is you having the power of the purse here in the state of Texas, what do you plan to do to keep our National Guard from deploying to these unjust and unconstitutional wars that Congress hasn't declared?
Well, that would be more legislative and not from the Comptroller. I really wouldn't be able to affect that, but I would be, you know, I'll be championing that. I can certainly champion what you just said. I don't think we should send the Guard. The Guard is the Texas National Guard, was our original state militia. You might know after World War I, the militias were incorporated into the National Guard. It does report strictly to the governor, and I think there's some controversy and that it can be called up by the President of the United States. If you read the legislation, I don't think it really can unless he does declare war anyway. But we can certainly pass that law in the state of Texas if we have to. I'm all for it. So thank you guys so much. Thank you very much. I sure appreciate it. I forgot to tell you that my campaign's endorsed real quick by Mattress Mac. It's also endorsed by Wesley Hunt. It's endorsed by representatives here in Houston. This is my third trip to Houston this week. I love Houston. It's just fantastic. Alex Mueller, and she and I will be on a deal tonight. We're going to, let's see, did I say Wesley Hunt?
Yes,
Wesley Hunt,
yes.
Steve Toad.
Steve Toad, woo!
Anyway, there's a lot of people in Houston that are backing me, and I love Houston. I need to win Houston. Y'all got about 8% of the vote. Thank you, appreciate it.
So I want to grab an applause, please. There is a table up here with some information on Mr. Huffines' campaign. It's the table right over here. So if y'all want to visit that table. Really quickly, y'all. Andy and I had a discussion. This is not our decision. It's y'all's decision. So with the vote of hands, raised hands, would y'all like the Saturday Menudo Club to endorse Don Huffines in his campaign? Okay, there we go. So you will get an official endorsement from our club, sir. We will be sharing that with you shortly and with your campaign. Just really quickly wrapping up, there are a couple other candidates that I just want to give the privilege of just saying a couple of things. We have Mr. Mark Gullaby, 2 minutes, and then we are going to have Mr. Mark come up as well.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks a lot thanks for the time, thanks for the opportunity. So yes, I'm running for governor. You just heard about how we're going to doge and cut spending, right? One of the best ways to cut spending, right, is to cut the revenue. And if you go to my website, goodgovernance.today, I tell exactly how we all deserve a 1% reduction in the sales tax rate, and the Treasury can afford it. Not only does it go through and take $16 billion out of the Treasury that will stay in your pockets, okay, it still leaves $7.5 billion in the Treasury. There's plenty of money, okay, so they can do other projects that come up, any emergencies that come up. That's how overtaxed we are, okay, that they can actually go through there, take $16 billion out of the Treasury. If we go through there and do some more doging, so we're talking about taking the state sales tax from 6 1/4 to 5 1/4. We do some doging, we do some cutting, right? We can take that down to 5%. We can be one of the largest states with one of the lowest sales tax rates in the country, right? Houston, last week just reported that they're 7% ahead of their sales tax collections. If Houston's ahead by 7%, right, the rest of Texas is ahead by 7%. So those are the things we can do. You can go to my website, goodgovernance.today. I spell that out. I talk about how we need to have an elected education commissioner, right? The guy who's been running that commission, right, the Texas Education Agency, has been there for 10 years. And the test results go from here to here, right? If he were in a private, if he was a sales, VP of sales, right, 2 years of declined sales, he'd be gone. Right? He'd be gone 5 years if he was a family member, okay? This guy's been in there for 10 years, right? Why is he staying? Because he's doing the work his boss wants him to do. This person needs to be accountable to the parents and the taxpayers of Texas, not me, the governor. So, Mark Gullaby, Good Governance Today. Let's make Texas Texas again. Come on up, Mark.
Hi, my name is Mark Coward. I am running for Harris County Treasurer. That's the position that Orlando Sanchez used to hold. The best county treasurer that we've ever had. Unfortunately, he and Chris Daniel and Stan Stannard got swept out of office in 2018. I was at that time Chris Daniel's Director of Communications and Media Relations, and I was sad to see him go because I am at the same time. I also wear another hat. I am the managing editor of the Texas Conservative Review, and we have also endorsed Senator Huffines for office, for Comptroller. We know his opponent. We've supported her in the past, but we found him to be the guy. As far as if you like his platform, you're going to like mine because I'm of a similar mind. First thing that we need to do is we need to take back Harris County from the Democrats. They've been here far too long. We've had 8 years of their rule, and we have crazy stuff like the gay softball tournaments and
we're in a deficit.
And we're in a deficit. All of these looming things, the not wanting to take care of our law enforcement. So we need to take back Harris County. And then after we do, we need to do a deep dive and a Doge-style review of every government office and see what damage has been done by these 8 years of waste, fraud, abuse, and corruption.
How can people reach you?
Mark at markcowart.com. That's M-A-R-C at M-A-R-C-C-O-W-A-R-T.com. My cell phone 832-282-2175, and I'll leave some cards on your leadership table. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, everyone, for visiting today. Again, if you want to go back and just review what was discussed today and share it, right? That's the main thing. We here have heard the message, but let's share the message. Go to our website, www.SaturdayMenudoClub.com. The videos are there. They're shareable on YouTube. Give us a comment. Actually, give El Tiempo a good comment for good service, good food. Once again, we meet here. Typically, it's the first Saturday of every month. I think August we had 2 meetings because we did have a machine gun preacher come in as a special event. But you will find us here. And please, go on their website, leave a good review. We are very humbled that they have us here, and we appreciate y'all attending. Let's give again a round of applause to all the candidates and speakers that came out today. Thank y'all for coming out. We have